somewhere around Needles. And I'll tell more about it when we're closer. So, this is the origin of these people, the humans in this area, dates way farther back than about like 3,500 years ago or so. There's a lot of Shoshone people that came over to this part of the country. They populated it. So today that looks like Luiseno Native Americans. That looks like a few other tribes. A lot of the tribes that we know, actually. Paula Reservation, I think their tribe also is mostly Shoshone influence. And so Shoshone influence actually influenced the human cultures as well. But the human cultures has been here for far, far longer. The Shoshoneans, if you don't know, they originally are from the Utah area, and they're kind of like the overarching group that unites what we know as the Aztecs. And by the way, Aztec codexes say that Aztecs came from Utah, probably, but we think it's Utah, which makes sense because the Utah are the Shoshone people, and the languages, for example, Luiseno and Nahuatl are actually related, very, very distantly, but they are related, which is even more evidence that that was the case. So the Shoshone people came over here. They made it all the way down to central Mexico, and they created all of this wide variety and diversity of cultures, which is why you have tribes here in Southern California right next to each other, so like the Kumeyaay right next to the Luiseno, but totally different unrelated languages and cultures. So the Native Americans that lived on the river very much practiced a more European-style agriculture, where they dig canals and plant stuff, versus coastal Native Americans practiced an environmental management type of agriculture, where a combination of fires and cutting and other little tweaks here and there helped the Native Americans on the coast, like the Kumeyaay and Chumash, grow a plentitude of food without maybe like individually placing seeds and digging canals. Although I will note that the Kumeyaay that lived on the east side of Cuyamaca, which is closer to the desert, they actually practiced, and this is not just the desert people, like a lot of different Kumeyaay and Chumash and all the other coastal Native Americans did this as well, just maybe not to the same extent as the people on the desert side, where it's very important. But the Kumeyaay on the desert side, east of Cuyamaca, those people actually built dams, and the dams were there. There's like may not be a creek there, but like a wash or something, and the dams would kind of start slowing the water and make sure the water gets into the ground. So that way, they had more water availability to grow whatever they needed to grow. So this whole area is the Chemehuevi area. So that's one of the Luiseno type people. They're related to the Luiseno in Orange County, but they're the river Native Americans, so their culture is pretty different, as you can probably guess from the climate and geography. Alrighty, we made it to Needles, California in pre-1930s. This was the way to get out west. This is the town Snoopy's brother Spike is from. Needles was named after the spikes on the mountains called Needles nearby. Cool stuff at the museum, like this white person who was adopted as and married into the Native American culture. There is lots of railroad history as well. Before the railroad, it was all boats coming through the river. There were lots of Native American artifacts. Many were thousands of years old, petrified wood, mammoths, bone, arrowheads that are tens of thousands of years old. There were baskets from tribes from all over the U.S., also Mojaves, Chemehuevis. There were pictures of Spirit Mountain, which I'll show and go to later. There were lots and lots of really cool photos as well. Museum, I was met by Owen and Jan, who told me lots about local history and the artifacts at the museum. They are many generations here, and I learned a lot about what they know about the Mojave, and they took me into their archives, and I got to see lots of cool things, including the maze. Local Mojave people would build huge mazes for their warriors before they go to war in order to scare away and confuse bad spirits. I learned a lot about Mojave buildings and what they looked like, pottery. This is a furnace that you just saw, Mojave families. There's so many photos of Mojave people. And Mojaves were actually one of the last people. So Jan and Nolan at the Regional Museum recommended that I go to Wagon Wheel. I think that's the name of the place. So I'm about to go get some good food. Americans, which helped preserve a lot of the culture.
What's called Grapevine Canyon.
40, I
I
learned
100% just found an
actually
artifact, but I'm not
goes
going to touch
through a
it. I'll leave that to
geoglyph.
the native people here. But this place is crazy. This is the most sacred place probably for all the human people. So everyone from Kumeyaay to Wallapai, Havasupai, Mojave, everyone.